A new year and a bit of a new look for BMW Club TV. I'm Philippa Guana, your host again this year for your monthly look into everything M-powered. Of course, this weekend, our BMW M Performance Parts race series will also start at Zwartkops Raceway. 2024 was a big year for us, but there was one prestigious piece of silverware that we didn't show you at the end of your awards evening. BMW Car Club Gauteng is part of a large committee of clubs from every inhabited continent. Like us, all of them also host a wide range of activities so their members can live the BMW lifestyle proudly, a lifestyle that we all love sharing with everyone interested. At the end of each year, representatives from all clubs attend the annual conference to celebrate the year's achievements. Our Vice Chairman, Colin Fanson, is also a board member of the BMW Club's International Council and brought back a bit of extra good news. Well, let's go pay him a visit to find out more.
The BMW Club's community consists of over 800 umbrella organizations, clubs and chapters located throughout the world. While it is the objective of every such club to meet the needs of its members and help grow the BMW Club's community, promote the mark, there are just some clubs that make such exceptional efforts in doing so that they deserve to be officially recognized for their excellence and achievement. Sadly, in the past, such recognition was limited to but one club selected each year by the BMW Club's International Council. However, with over 800 eligible groups, such limited recognition likely precluded the identification and certification of some deserving organizations from being duly recognized. Therefore, in 2023, the BMW Club's International Council considered expanding the number of awards conferred each year to a set amount of no more than one per umbrella, subject to a maximum of 1% of the total eligible organizations. In the past as well, the award requirements that needed to be met were very vague and non-specific. So also in 2023, the Council considered a more defined set of criteria that still allowed considering outside-the-box achievements and accomplishments. So the award nomination or selection criteria include, for example, actively promoting the continued growth of BMW clubs, providing guidance, advice, assistance and examples for the formation of new BMW clubs, for example the new race series club in Cape Town, creating a massive amount of benefits and club events for the club members, as well as recognizing the achievements of club members, like in prize giving. Actively conducting events that promote the mark, including assisting the BMW Group, for example, with the M Festival, where the race series was featured. All the while, obviously, meeting the BMW corporate identity and requisite policies. And then also actively organize and participate in events and programs that demonstrate social responsibility, like the club did last year with the St. Mary's Children's Home on Hot Cares. So earlier in 2024, when the BMW Club of the Year Awards guideline was updated, I shared it with Varish and Bernard, who duly responded to the call and submitted a detailed 49-slide PowerPoint presentation, setting out how each of these points were addressed and met. And they also included a summary 3-minute video from Reynard and his brilliant team, showcasing all the BMW Car Club Gauteng events over the year. They then sent it to BMW Clubs Africa, which is the umbrella organization for the BMW Car Club Gauteng, who submitted it to BMW Clubs and Community Management in Germany. This nomination was tabled at the November 2024 Dubai BMW Clubs International Council meeting for consideration as a Club of the Year. And a drum roll, I am very, very, very proud to report that the BMW Car Club Gauteng has won the coveted Club of the Year award. The very first BMW club in Africa. Well done to Varish and Bernard and the committee, and indeed all of the members of the BMW Car Club Gauteng. Without you, it would not have been possible. Cheers.
The hard work put in by everyone involved certainly paid off. Congratulations to Varish and his team on joining the Springboks as part of the group who can say we brought it home. In a couple of last year's ladder shows, we showed you some snippets of the coffee table book BMW, the unique South African story, which you no doubt would want in your collection. This book, authored by Johan Venter and Marek Letois, documents the first 50 years of the Bavarian brand in South Africa. We visited them to find out more about this collector's item.
Good day to everybody and welcome. This is a very proud moment for us, Johan and I. We are the two authors of this book that everybody's been hearing about and seeing little snippets of and wondering when it'll come out. And we were lucky enough to do the launch at BMW's M-Fest last year in September, and deliveries have started in earnest since then. We have finally managed to turn this 18-month-long dream into reality. Well, the 18 months is how long it actually took us to make this all happen, from concept, approval, and then down to the hard work. This is something that Johan and I have been planning on doing for the last 8-9 years. It was an idea we thought really needed to happen. And on the 50th anniversary of BMW's presence here in South Africa, they finally agreed to endorse the book, which is really what we needed. We didn't want to just be two other enthusiasts writing a book, because then everybody's like, oh, nice book. But now we had the full cooperation from BMW. We were led into areas of BMW that the public would never get into, and that all contributed to some fascinating stories that we captured in this book. Hey, Johan?
Yeah, Marek and I actually met probably about 14 years ago. Yeah. And it's another BMW story. I brought BMW Car magazine out from the UK to come and see what wonderful BMWs we have in South Africa. And we actually did an article out of this very showroom of Marek's.
Yeah.
And that's how we met. And neither of us knew at the time that we both wanted to actually do a BMW book. And when Colin mentioned it, who was the BMW chairman at the time, that Marek wanted to do a book, he also said to Marek that I wanted to do a book. We decided to compare notes. And it was very similar, and we thought, yes, like Marek said, we definitely have to get BMW involved in this. And we started pursuing them probably 9 years ago. And yeah, eventually in their 50th anniversary year, they decided for us to go ahead with the book.
You know, it was an incredible journey, because this was really not Johan and Maya's book or our idea. What it actually ended up being was a culmination of everybody's input. We couldn't have done this book without the input from the various individuals that made stuff happen at BMW South Africa. We spoke to Jeff Goddard. We got inter-office top secret memos from him. We spoke to every single living BMW South Africa former CEO who told their story. And then one of Johan's favorite chapters was also a nice, pleasant surprise to us. Hey, Johan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that we persisted in finding more information about Johannes Pretorius, and he's actually the father of BMW in South Africa. And I said to Marek at some point when we were starting to finalize the book, I said, Marek, we don't even have a picture of Johannes Pretorius.
None of us knew even what he looked like.
No, we didn't.
It turns out we did have a picture of him. It's just we didn't know what he looked like. He was in the background.
Yeah, but Marek, like a dog with a bone as usual, hunted down Johannes Pretorius' family, and we got a whole portfolio, a whole profile of his life.
Handwritten memoirs of his that were in a folder, and As I said in the book, which is the first opening line about his story, is that is a book on its own waiting to be written. Phenomenal human being. I mean, we wouldn't be here, none of us would be here, if it wasn't for Hannes Pretorius himself and what he actually created in the end.
Yeah, and I'm so glad we tracked his family down and we were able to actually put that information in. And I think very few people, and I'm going to delve into the book immediately, very few people actually know that BMW came to South Africa because of Hannes Pretorius' persistence. He partnered with Gunther Ludwig. Gunther Ludwig is a German that came to South Africa in 1932, and by 1933 was the concessionaire for importing BMW motorbikes. And he saw an opportunity. In 1966, BMW took over the glass operation, and they no longer wanted to make a particular glass, which was the 1700. He then spoke to Gunther and said, we need to speak to the Germans. And because Gunther had a relationship with BMW already, I think that made it easier. And they approached BMW and said, those glass bodies that are just standing there, please send them to us, send us the tooling, send us some BMW engines and running gear, and we make a BMW in South Africa. And the first BMW rolled off the Roslyn plant in 1968, which was the 1800 SA, and shortly after that it was the 2000 SA.
In addition to that, just to add to that little bit of anecdotal history, Hannes Pretorius had before that brought Nissan to this country, and that was also a pure, almost by accident thing that he found when he went over to Japan in the 50s and came back with the Datsun Nissan franchise. So one can actually attribute the presence, the existence of Roslyn as a suburb, one might call it, or a town probably outside in north of Pretoria, to this man, Hannes Pretorius, because he set up the Datsun Nissan thing, and at the end of the day, basically, he brought industry to Roslyn. Okay.
Yeah, and he was also making Jeeps at the Roslyn plant.
He was hugely entrepreneurial. So that's actually what became the BMW factory, was the Kaiser Jeep factory that he had there.
Correct.
And then as Kaiser Jeep was being phased out, in fact, that production moved over to motor makers, which was Toyota eventually. It became the BMW factory. So, that's an amazing story. And it's quite funny how we're all not funny, it's ironic that we're a community within the BMW world, because we were doing the book launch down in the Cape in December. We were at Century City. And in the book, Johan states that the first BMW to come to South Africa wasn't in fact a car or a bike, but it was an aeroplane.
Yes.
And then after that, a German immigrant came out with his BMW motorcycle before Gunther Ludwig.
Correct.
And we were doing this book launch at Century BMW, as I said, and this chap came up to me. He had his E34 M5 on display. And he said to me, my grandfather was the first person to come to South Africa with a BMW motorcycle. And I said, but you're not related to the Ludwigs, because I knew that he wasn't. And it turns out that it was his grandfather that was the chap we had referred to. And unfortunately, it was a little bit too little too late, but he even had a picture of his grandfather with his first BMW. So, even by telling the story, we're now in a situation where a lot of people are coming forwards going, it was my uncle, my great-grandfather, and people are actually recognizing that at last we've documented the actual history of BMW. It's as perfect as we could make it.
Yes.
We're all human beings,
Yeah.
and the story was told by human beings. We had to, on the production figures which we've got, we had to consolidate 4 different databases within BMW. You can imagine what it was like migrating from printed stuff before computers in the 60s onto mainframe computers, etc., etc. So obviously data input at some stages all, got sent off in various different directions. But we did the best we could. And we are really, really proud and mostly grateful to everybody that helped us put this incredible thing together.
Yeah, and there was a lot of help, and I just want to add on to what you said about how this book actually connects people, because we were at Kyalami in October at the M-Fest, and this particular guy came and he opened the book and he wanted to know about the Kalahari bike, because it was his father-in-law who actually developed the Kalahari bike, and because of that he bought the book. And just another anecdotal thing, I had a guy at our place a week ago, and he came to, we have wasp in our yard, and he came to sort that out for us. And then he mentioned Dave Kirby, and I said, that name rings a bell. And then what I did was I went to the index of the book, and we found Dave Kirby, and he was so proud because he's related to Dave Kirby.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so what's nice about this book, it brings people together, I think, you know.
And you know what, it really, there's something in there for everybody. We had the help of Dennis, who had written the Kailami book, and Dennis got on board with us to put together the motorsport division, because we couldn't have a book without the motorsport division. BMW's DNA is motorsport. It's how some of our amazing South African specials actually came into being, was because of motorsport. And they took cars like the 745, which didn't come to being because of motorsport, and put it into motorsport. So we did all sorts of amazing things. And Dennis went all out and spoke to, as we did with the CEOs, got hold of all the former racing drivers, both works and privateers. And there's really something for everybody in this book from that point of view. Whether you're an absolute motorsport fan, we've covered every single car, we've covered every single driver. And we have really, really done an A to ZZ job of covering bases on this.
Yeah, and I'm really glad, Marek, when you said we've covered the CEOs now, but there were other people behind the CEOs and other people that did amazing things. And you said, let's put in the dream team. And immediately when you talk about motorsport, I think the birth of BMW Motorsport is because of Murray Difford out in Australia.
Correct.
And Murray sent us I can't swear on this channel, but he sent us a lot of photos, and we used a lot of that in the book. And it's not only Murray. Mark from Switzerland sent us a whole lot of stuff of the Ludwigs when they had club motors right in the beginning when they were doing motorcycles. So everybody contributed from far and wide, and again, like you say, we could not have done the book without them.
Yeah, and on the photograph topic, we're very proud to say that 3/4 of the pictures in the book have never been seen before. Not only did we do our own photo shoot at Geritech with the range of vehicles, which coincided with the Sentimental video on the 50 years of BMW in South Africa, which you can watch on cars.coza, and it also allowed us to have our own photo shoot and then use these pictures that people like Murray and Jeff gave us. We've got pictures of cars, development testing, the 333 test mules, and finally, this is the story from the horse's mouth. These are past some of the evolutions of the crazy tales that we've all heard, coming home to roost and being told by the people that actually, made this stuff happen.
Yeah, just thinking of Klaus Wambach, who also gave us a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Klaus was the guy that was brought out here to get the 745 production going.
Yeah.
And there's an amazing story in that particular chapter where Klaus started with absolutely nothing in the corner of the factory. I mean, by the time he was, going, I mean, he was not just doing 745s anymore. He was, final checking the ISs, the E28 M5s. So yeah, I mean, he progressed, but a lot of stuff he also gave us.
Absolutely. One of the most interesting things to come out of talking to all of the people that we spoke to was that so many people have dedicated their lives to this brand, whether we are just collectors, drivers, and that sort of stuff. What's gone on behind the scenes in making BMW in South Africa so great is really truly unique. We were not the normal corporate environment, and in fact, speaking to some of the CEOs, BMW South Africa was known as a bunch of cowboys, and I think that's in the greatest sense of the word, because we had a level of autonomy that was just allowed, and things happened, and none of that stuff could happen today. None of it. Everything is so regulated. Everybody has to report to everybody. There's compliance, there's corporate governance, and the scope to be able to use one's imagination and really just sort of go out on a limb is very limited nowadays. Hey, Johan?
Absolutely, and I think South Africa also became a huge test bed for Munich. Things they wanted to test out, they did at the Rosen plant and the BMW environment within South Africa, and I think it's a reason to celebrate. I think for most manufacturers, it's become so streamlined that those days where you've got individual models for individual markets are long, long gone. And what's great about this book, we can celebrate all those good things with the unique models, the M cars that were made here, and like I said, the CEOs, but most importantly, the people. And that's what made BMW.
You know, Johan talks about the cars, and really and truly, that is what unites us. That is what brings us all together as one big family. It has no divide. It has no distinction at all, other than the fact that this is really what runs in our blood. I want to point out one thing too, is that this book started off, we thought 250 pages would be enough. You know, it'll pretty much do it. And the more we dug, we realized that we honestly couldn't leave anything out. We were finding information everywhere. And so we've ended up at 642 pages and nearly 6 kilograms worth of book here. And we have 2 versions of it, which I'm sure you may or may not know of, but we'll tell you anyway. And that is, we've got a Prestige limited edition, which is limited to 333 copies. It's got its own special badge on it, which is done by Estem Schlangu for us. It has got a satin ribbon around it with a copper foiling, and inside there is a plaque with all the former CEO's signatures, including the current one, Peter. And we're very grateful to Peter and his team, because Peter's a car guy. And it's so rare these days that guys in corporate senior management, CEOs, are actually truly representative of the business they're in. And I can only really speak for car people, but thank goodness he's a car guy. And each book is numbered with a complete authentic replica on an aluminium chassis plate of a 333, and your number's engraved into that book. And strange enough, that is our quickest seller at the moment, hey Johan? It's
outselling the standard one. But I mean, again, you speak of Estem Schlangu. I mean, there's quite a bit of Estem Schlangu in the book. I mean,
absolutely.
She did the art car in 1991. It was the 525 E34. Nelson Mandela's in the book. So it's not just about cars. I mean, if I go to the section that BMW did, there's a lot of artists that are being celebrated in the book, and a lot of the stuff that they are currently busy with, making the world a better place. Green energy as an example.
We left out electric cars, by the way. So, once again, truly South African, and really just something that one must have. You know, books are forever. And I promise you that there's stories in there that you're going to be very glad that you took the time to read. And this really, especially something like the special edition book, becomes a family heirloom. You know, it really becomes something that's worthy of handing down, of keeping. It's honestly a work of art. Johan and I are both mad about books, and we did a lot of research and put a lot of effort into designing the book that we would consider to be the ultimate book to have. So we've submitted our book to international forums and boards for consideration as a book award, which will obviously happen during the course of this year. So we're hoping that the book will even be recognized and lauded internationally for being a true work of art and a masterpiece, because that's the whole point. One of the reasons why we did this was we wanted the rest of the world to know and understand that our BMs are great. Our BMs are BMs. They're special. They may be unique, but they count, because a lot of the guys in the UK go, oh no, your cars are bastard cars, they're CKDs. Germany referred to us as a CKD plant, but actually we are a manufacturing plant, and that is what's very important. They did send parts to us to include. We had up to 60% local content, and interestingly enough, today there's not one factory that makes 100% of any of the stuff that goes into it. So we are truly, and came from a truly manufacturing background. We weren't just putting kits together like pieces of puzzles.
Absolutely. And I think, like I said, there's something for everybody in the book. So I would encourage you, go out while we still have books available. Go out and get your book, because once it's gone, and you will be sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. So click on the link below or above, wherever the guys decide to put it. And please go and just add this to your shelves. you certainly won't regret it. It's an absolute investment. It's got a wealth of information in it. It really, really will evoke some amazing memories for so many people, and it's in our DNA, it's in our blood. And even if you're not the biggest BM fan, if you're a car fan, I promise you'll find this book really, really worthwhile.
Yeah, definitely.
The BMW M Performance Parts Race Series is one of our greatest success stories, but while the achievements of those behind the wheel, the hard work of those in the paddock and the leadership of those in charge are often celebrated, none of this would be possible without the unsung heroes in orange. Yes, it is a fact that there wouldn't be any racing without the marshals. Come rain or shine, these ladies and gents are the ones that make sure that our drivers can compete in a safe and well-prepared environment. There is a lot more that goes into this than waving a few flags and clearing the odd bits of debris. The marshals are the first responders in everything on the circuit, which means they must be prepared for absolutely everything. Regular training keeps them at the top of their game, and that's why we are here at Kalami Grand Prix Circuit this morning. Flagging, dealing with incidents, and knowing what to do in case of a fire are just some aspects that form part of the hands-on training conducted on the day. It also serves as a good opportunity to ensure that you are up to date with the latest Motorsport South Africa general competition rules. Every year we also see a new group of marshals joining the team. Let's introduce you to some of the marshals, find out more about their jobs and what keeps them at the top of their game.
Right, good morning. My name is Stretch Bayman. I'm the chairman of Kalami Marshals Association. Right, so today we're doing our major training day, which consists of radio, medical, flagging, and we will do almost physical incidents staged on track, and then the marshals need to respond, so that's normally quite interesting. Right, although it's important for marshals to do refresher training, it is also very important to have new marshals do a full training course with the induction course, etc., so they know what's going on about the marshalling and how it works and what it's all about. Well, if you want to become a marshal, we're on the website. We also just Kalami Marshals Association. There is phone numbers there and email addresses, which you just contact the person, or if you know a marshal, speak to them and they'll give you the information.
Hi, my name is Melissa Sinclair. I've been marshalling for 20 years. I've been on fire and rescue for the past 7 years as a probationary. Today we are helping the marshals with recovery of vehicles and how to get through all the different incidents. To transition from a ground marshal, you need a minimum of 10 years ground marshal experience, so you are aware of how each incident is run. On the vehicle, you then need to listen with your radio and to interact with the COCs and race control to resolve incidents quicker and as safely as possible.
Okay, welcome to Race Control. Okay, so this is where we monitor everything going on the circuit. As you can see, we've got a lot of screens here. So what we do is we can zoom in and see exactly what's happening out on the circuit. We've got a cameraman that sits there that monitors all the cameras. His name's Armand. Usually we have the COC sit in the front row. They will make the final call of what's happening up in race control and what's happening out on the circuit. Then you have your two race controllers sitting at the desk behind the COCs, followed by some of the management and people like that. Okay, so on a race day, I would be one of the main race controllers, and what we would do is we would monitor the radios, and if there's an incident out on the corner, say there's an incident zone 2, they would call me, they would say they've got an incident zone 2, and I would write down all the details up here, and the COCs will make a call whether they're going to stop the race or if they're going to continue racing and put out the safety car. But my job as race controller is basically just to listen to the corners, see what's going on there, and take instructions from the COCs. So in order to become a race controller, you would have to start out like every other marshal as a trainee. You will go through a couple of months of training. You will then go into flagging. They all start off as flaggies. And eventually you can become a post chief, which is what I did. I was a marshal out in the corner as a flaggie for about 6 years. And then I became post chief. I turned 15 at Kailami. I was there for about 5 years before I went into race control. So you need to have a basic understanding of what the marshals do and what their roles are and exactly how motorsport work or the race works before you can go into race control.
Okay, hi, my name is Jean-Louis. I'm the COC of Kailami Swartkops and many other tracks around South Africa involving MSA racing days and different classes associated with MSA. Then basically a COC's role, let's say that, is to overlook all the safety factors, marshals, the drivers, the cars and everything, all included is part of a COC's job on the day, and regarding public safety as well. So everything revolves around safety, especially around motorsport, the COC will be involved. Then when it comes to on-track incidents, involving a COC will hand out penalties, time penalties and all that. And then the COC is also involved in picking off classes, if there's, say, for instance, class changes, anything of that. So all the officiating part of a racing day, marshals, public and all included, goes through the COC. The COC is mainly, or basically, for the day, the boss of the track.
Marshalling is an aspect of motorsport that teaches you all the fundamentals of safety on the circuit, which is important knowledge to have for anyone granted access to a live circuit. One of the content creators on our team, James Thompson, is a former marshal, and he tells us how he uses this knowledge in his current profession.
How I decided that I wanted to become a marshal was the more of getting to know race drivers, getting to be more in terms of getting more involved in motorsport, in terms of closer to drivers, closer to the track, more by the track, whereas it's not affordable in my case to drive the vehicle, but in other way I can get closer to the track and to drivers is by marshalling, safety-wise helping them and all of that. From marshalling I moved into the motorsport photography about a year or so ago. The transition from being a marshal to being a media person it's a major difference, but you can use the marshalling side of aspects or as the safety, where I'd recommend for new and upcoming media people to, even current media people to even maybe attend a marshalling training day or such way where they can see how the marshals work, if there's an incident or not, or flagging or whichever the case may be, that you know what you can do, what you can't do, and where are the safest places to stand on a corner if something does have to go wrong.
Like Renier, Nicholas, Matthew, Leon and Reynard, our marshals are also worthy champions and an integral part of the BMW M Performance Parts race series. As the 2025 motorsport season starts, we wish them a successful and safe year ahead as they passionately work towards allowing our drivers to live out their passion. Yes, the new season is truly upon us. This year we have an 8-round calendar which will again commence with the annual Passion for Speed event at Swartkops Raceway. April will again see a bumper edition Extreme Festival at the Kailami Grand Prix circuit with all series on both the national and regional rosters in action. Our 2025 coastal round will literally see us crossing borders. After our successful visits to Kuberga and Cape Town, we are set to travel to Mozambique this year with a maiden outing at the Autodromo Internacional de Maputo. But the calendar is not the only difference for 2025. Let's check in with Bernard to find out more.
And as we start the 2025 BMW M Performance Parts Race Series year, we have introduced an additional class to this year, being Class F. By doing so, we've had to change some of our breakout times. Furthermore, with our rules and regulations for 2025, we have enhanced some of our safety rules by adding, for example, that it is compulsory now to have Hans devices with your racing helmets. We're also proud to announce that BMW South Africa has renewed their sponsorship with a 3-year deal with BMW M Performance Parts. Furthermore, ZF Aftermarket has also renewed their sponsorship for another 2 years. The remaining sponsors have all committed to the 2025 year as well. For the 2025 calendar year, we are back at Passion for Speed in January. We're back at Kailami again in April, and for the first time ever, we'll be racing in Maputo, Mozambique in August. And I'd like to wish all of our drivers all the best for this weekend as we race at the Passion for Speed, but also for the whole of the 2025 calendar year. All the best, guys.
Well, new breakout times with a 6th class added. This means we are in for a significant shake-up this weekend, so let's take a look at what lies ahead. The annual Passion for Speed is the de facto season opener of the South African circuit racing calendar. As one of the most prestigious events, it also sees a host of once-off and special competitors come out to join the fun. Nian de Toy and Ludovic Chiron, who both won their classes last year, are just some examples of such drivers. We'll see a shake-up in the field with the additional class added and breakout brackets adjusted. This will see the likes of Bernard de Gouveia, Varish Gampath and Troy Cochrane, who all competed in Class C last year, now joining the front of the Class D pack.
I'm here to watch Bernard break into Class B.
Yes, Ernest, so much for Bernard breaking into Class B. Our reigning champions Leon Loebscher, Renier Smith, Reynard Miller, Nicholas Terps and Matthew Wadley will look to establish early dominance while defending their respective Class A, B, C, D and E titles. All 5 of these drivers have indicated that they will remain in their current classes, however breakouts can occur at any time. Gary Martins and Johan Miller are just 2 examples of drivers who headed up a class earlier in 2024 before breaking into a new class as the season continued. Bob Neal will look to hit the ground running in search of his maiden Class A title. While not much has been announced about Ryan Knacker's 2025 campaign yet, he will also look to contend at the front when he's on the grid. Nick McCrease and Andreas Meyer will look to continue their battle with Smith in Class B. This trio delivered a host of spectacular battles in 2024. Benny Late and Hein van der Merwe will look to repeat the good form they showed in Class C. Classes D, E and the new Class F will see a shake-up. The likes of Shane Kobler, Quebus Boma, Johan Miller, Zahir Sidat, Mike Kobler and Zayed Ishmael will look again to be in contention from the start. Despite a constrained program, the season opener will see a split grid with Classes A, B and C competing separately from Classes D, E and F. Spectator tickets can be purchased at the gate or via CompuTicket. Broadcast information will also be announced on the weekend by the event promoter. We look forward to seeing our BMW M Performance Parts Race Series competitors battle it out at the SWATCORPS International World of Motoring this weekend. From me, Philippa Guana, it's goodbye until next month.